Rory, thanks for your time.
Welcome.
On the eve of a new season, it feels a good time to take stock. 2.5 seasons into your, or 2.5 years into your chairmanship, did you think it'd be quite this roller coaster with such highs and lows?
No, if I'm honest, when I did it was to the end of the season, but no one's come forward, so I'm stuck here. So no, obviously when I come on board, it was short term, was just get through the end of the season, then took the job permanently. In that time, obviously, we changed the manager, so Bobby Wilkinson left, Dean and Stuart came in. We, the objective was to be in the top half of the table. If we get playoffs, that was a realistic aim, which we thought was achievable. It was a complete squad rebuild from Bobby leaving and Dean and Stuart coming in. There was, what did we keep? Like 4 or 5 players. So it was a massive rebuild. So to win the league was, was a wonderful achievement for everyone involved, and it was sort of ahead of schedule. The aim was to be in and around the playoffs if we could. So to win the league and I think we were top of the league from sort of the second week in August to the end. So it was a great achievement. So yeah, I'm happy with the way it's gone. If we can, carry on improving, then I'll be happy.
Talked about the highs of the league, and then not long after that, we had this pandemic, which we all went through. How tough and challenging was that as chairman of a football club?
Well, financially, it was incredibly challenging, as you'll appreciate. We'd set a budget at the beginning of the season. We were told we'd get funding, and we worked to that. So come Christmas, and we were told, well, you're not going to have funding, and you've got to, there's a footballing matter, and then there's a moral. You've got to tell to people who rely on this money that actually we can't keep you. We've got to let you go. Some boys were put on furlough. Other players, we terminated their contracts. So that was tough. And whatever I've done, I try to be successful and do the best I can at it. So when you're sending a team out, knowing it's massively under strength, and the realistic chance that when they go out, they're going to lose, and it's damage limitation. So it's incredibly hard to watch and be part of that. But the alternative was we throw money at it, and the club's at risk of going to the wall if we did that. So it was tough to be part of. It was tough for me. It was tough for the rest of the board, and certainly like the manager and the players. Some of them players, it'd been very easy for them to have injuries and what have you, but they didn't. They stayed true to it. Every training session they worked hard on the pitch. Yes, there were some bad performances in certain games, but overall, they did incredibly well, and we would have stayed up on merit, which was the objective. And I think there were times people sort of lost sight of that. We overachieved to be in that league, and the objective at the start of the season last year, I said to Dean and Stuart, look, just keep us in the league. If we have to play a different style of football, then so be it. But that was the objective, and we met that objective. So yes, the season before we were incredibly successful, but last year, we met the objective. So if we can do that this year, then the club's moving in the right direction.
We've seen the pandemic hit clubs at all levels of the English football pyramid. Even at the Premier League, clubs have had to cut their cloth accordingly. Just how hard did it hit Wealdstone?
Incredibly. Every club had their financial troubles, but with Wealdstone, I think we would have had the lowest budget in that league. We weren't perfect, we're not full time. It's incredibly hard to attract players as it is because of the financial restraints we have. So with COVID and the financial difficulties that brought, it was, down to everything. It just impacts everything you do, and not having that money and not knowing how you can pay certain wages, and it's incredibly tough for the board. And I think it's worrying for the players as well, and the manager and everyone associated with the club. So yeah, it was. Thankfully, we've come through it, but at times you did worry: how are we going to pay this? How are we going to survive? Are we going to get through to the end of the season? And there's big clubs like Dover pulling teams out, refusing to play. You did worry, but we were fortunate enough we got through it. The fans were fantastic. People who bought season tickets, who they could have took a different view and wanted money back, and we were lucky that a number of fans, donated large sums of money to help us through that. So we're fortunate that we've got a good fan base and some good people attached who all stuck with us. We're in it together and we got through. So you can get through that. You'd like to think you could get through anything.
How much did you have to lean on your business acumen? Obviously a very successful businessman. Did you have to dig deep?
Yeah, the directors always have to dig deep, as the fans do. Yeah, I guess, look, the biggest thing was mitigating our outgoings. So it was very tough because there was no right or wrong with some of the choice of players. We had to take some of the bigger earners out because we just had to bring the wage bill down. So yeah, it's hard because the manager wants certain players and we're saying, no, he's on too much money. We need to, he can't be involved. So it's incredibly hard. And as a football manager, all they want to do is win games of football, or at least, be competitive. And at any level, whether it's Sunday morning or, Premier League, you want to be competitive. So when you're taking away their best players, it's not easy. So, yeah.
How would you assess the financial picture now? How the club's finances as we stand now?
It's always tight. We've thankfully managed to get a loan, which will help us get through, the next couple of seasons. We've had to do some improvements for ground grading and what have you. So they've been done. Until, we can bring additional revenues in. We've done some recent things. We've done a new deal with Harefield Academy, which, commercially will help the club. We've done a new kit deal with Kelme, which once again helps financially. There's a few other things in the background we're working on, which all help. So it's going to be tough this year as it is every year. I guess from where we were last year to, we're in a better position because of some of the sacrifices we made last year. So it will be tough. We have to cut our cloth accordingly. We have to be sensible. We have to rely on, the loan market and players coming here for an opportunity to kickstart their career or an opportunity to play at this level, and getting people for the right money and getting the right type of players. So far the recruitment's been, spot on, and the type of player we brought in are here for the right reasons, and, they're here for good money. We're not paying ridiculous money. We've got good value for money, we feel. So we just have to carry on, with that blueprint, and we'll keep moving forward and growing, and it will get easier. It's just following on from last year, it has been tough, but we're in a better position than where we were last year, which is good.
You're a winner and really ambitious. How tough was it to watch that kind of second half of the season?
Incredibly tough. Down to the ball boy, to, the management team, to me, yeah, it was horrific. There was, 2 games that back-to-back that stick out, in particular, Hartlepool at home and then Maidenhead at home, on the Tuesday night. It was incredibly tough. And you sort of ask yourself, where do we go from here? And you're asking the boys, the same boys, to get up for the game, do this, and when they are so deflated, because, I know certain supporters think they do care, but the players did care. Maybe there's a couple who could have and should have done more, but individual errors just kept costing us. So, yeah, you weren't enjoying it. It was so, you used to watch the game like that because, we were shipping goals. We had injuries, suspensions, and such a small squad. It was very challenging, and we couldn't bring anyone else in because we didn't have the resource to do so. So it's trying to encourage the boys, and, Stuart and Matty spending time with them on the training pitch to set them up so we're not so open, and, but the individual errors was what was costing us, and, it was tough, to say the least. That, there was 3-4 games last year that was tough. There were some very good moments as well, but yeah, I think everyone knows, well documented, the ones that were tough to watch. So,
do you learn a lot through periods of adversity, though?
Of course you do. Yeah, I think it's easy when everything's going well and you're winning and you're successful. That's easy. It's how you measure when it's not going well and how people respond and how many people stick with it. So there's certain people, like the captain. I think he played every minute of every game last year, Jerome. you know, he was part of defence. People were questioning him. We know he's a, you know, Rolls Royce centre back, but last year at times he was being made to look. It'd have been very easy for him and a couple of the other boys. Jacob Mendy played every minute of every game. They never shied away. They stuck with it. Their mentality was fantastic. So I learned an awful lot about them and got as much as respect I had for them. I've even got even more now, because it would have been easy for them to, you know, maybe go hiding. And I can't remember what game it was, but we had one game where it was a terrible performance. We were well beaten, and then on Tuesday night, I think we went away miles away, and I think it might have been Stockport away or something. We went, and you think, look, are they all going to turn up here? Because, you know, it was hard, and you were sending them to top of the league knowing that to get anything was, you know, tough. But I said to him, look, we had, you know, losing's one thing, but it's got to be in a dignified way. You know, we're not expecting you to go to Stockport and win, but we got to, you know, perform to a level that's dignified. You know, you've got to put the effort in, you've got to work hard, you've got to be professional. We can't be getting, you know, people booked and sent off. We've got to stick together, be professional, and, you know, give it our all. And most of the time they did. There was a few times where that didn't happen, but yeah, you learn a lot about certain players. Some that they had bad attitudes, some that weren't up for the fight, some that were letting their teammates down, and hence they're not here. The ones that are here are the ones with the right attitude, who wanted to be here, who care, and it means a lot for them to play for Wealdstone. And, you know, they wanted to do the right thing by the club, and they stuck with it, when at times it was hard to watch, and to be even on that pitch is even harder. So
there's been plenty of summer activity already. Is a lot of what you saw last season, particularly in the second half of last season, shaped your transfer activity, shaped your philosophy?
Yeah, massively. We knew the problem when we came up last year, and we had certain deals in place. We had a sense of loyalty to some of the players who'd got us up, so we wanted to show that loyalty back to them. From a physicality point of view, we weren't big enough. The amount of goals we conceded from corners and set pieces, that was evident. So we wanted to add a bit more physicality. We wanted to, you know, bit more professionalism. We needed some fitter, stronger boys. So the areas we identified that we were weak, you know, we specifically went out early, got them done, you know, and hopefully you'll see the likes of Jack Cook. I don't know what, he's 6'4", 6'5", he's a mountain, you know, great in the air, he's great on the ball, you know, he's a leader as well. We were lucky enough that he didn't want to go full time, and that's how, you know, we've managed to get him to come to us. So it's worked in our favour, Woking going full time, but he was key. Nicola Tavares, who we had last year, unfortunately got injured. We managed to cure him. Josh right up top, big strong lad. You know, will get us further up the pitch, hold the ball up. He's, you know, he'll be massive. We wanted a runner in midfield, because we noticed last year you need legs, and we lacked legs in midfield, and that was quite evident a lot of games. So we brought in Matt Hughes, who can run all day long, box-to-box player, so he'll make a massive difference to us. So yeah, there's sort of some of the key signs. A few more hopefully still to come in. We're trying to get another couple of loans. We've got a good keeper, George Wickens, who's signed from Fulham. So he's a big, you know, big boy. He'll come take crosses. You know, he kicks the ball fantastically well, and he's here for the season. So, you know, he'll make a big difference, because last year we obviously 3-4 different goalkeepers, and we shipped a lot of goals. So yeah, that was one area we wanted, a big keeper who can command his box and give, you know, the defence confidence that he's behind them, and he will come and take, you know, crosses and intercept a load of balls.
It looks like with the size of the signings, there's going to be no more Mr. Nice guys at Wealdstone. You're going to be a bit uglier, a bit more streetwise. Yeah,
you have to be. I think we were a bit naive last year and maybe got bullied a little bit. So yeah, thankfully we've added, like I said, a bit more size, a bit more physicality, and just the environment we've set, you know, because we're not full time, we need boys that are prepared to come in and do stuff away from the training. They've got to, you know, they've got to want to do it. And thankfully, the level of professionalism is, you know, unbelievable that's come in, and the boys can see, look, he's doing this, he's doing it. Like, you know, we need to be doing this. So yeah, I think, you know, we won't be bullied. I think, you know, we might surprise a few people. You know, I'm not going to say we're going to finish here, there, or anywhere, but I think we will surprise a few teams. So I've been impressed so far. It's hard to judge with pre-season, but we just proved on Saturday, Colchester, we played them off the park for 90 minutes. We were unlucky not to, hit the post. We had a few good chances. It could have been a lot more. So we proved that we can, go away from home, play teams that are, in the league above and give a good account of ourselves. So, yeah, I'm confident going in that we'll be far better equipped and positioned to do well this, improve on where we were last year. So we can finish another place up from where we were last year. That's progression, and we're moving in the right direction.
With so many incomings, inevitably there has to be outgoings. Feels like a bit of an end of an era with people like Danny Green, Jacob Mendy, Mitchie, Ross Lafayette, obviously hanging his boots up.
Yeah, look, them
Connor
boys.
Smith, another one.
Yeah, we just felt with, obviously, Mendy was out of our hands. Obviously, there was a trigger in his contract and that was gone. So he went. Connor, done fantastically well. The 2 years he was with Green, he'd done 5 years. So, they've been amazing for the club and done fantastic jobs. But we were just moving in a slightly different direction. So it was a balance between financial, the direction we wanted to go and the type of players we wanted to bring in. So, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes it's just circumstances that we were looking at different skill sets and athleticism with some of the boys. So Ross obviously retired. So, yeah, some of it was forced, some of it was, made bold decisions.
The loss of Askew, tough one to take?
It is, because he was a local boy. He'd watched, Willstone in the stands. Unfortunately, sometimes you have a pot of money and you can only spread it so far. So Barnett made him an offer which he thought was too good to turn down. And, Jake's a good lad. Unfortunately, broke his ankle in 3 places on Saturday playing for Barnet. I spoke to him Saturday after the game. But, we wish him well. And, look, you never want someone going to your rivals, but it's a decision Jack made. We offered him a deal, but unfortunately, he chose to go to Barnet.
That's football.
Yep, unfortunately, yeah.
Feels like a bit of a rebuild now, almost a breakup of the team Dean Brennan built. Just to touch on that one, was it just time for a change?
With Dean? Yeah, look, we had some concerns over a number of different areas. They weren't being addressed. We just sort of decided that at the end of Dean's contract, we wouldn't be offering him another one. Dean decided that he didn't want to be part of it and chose to leave. So, we'd have liked him to stay to the end of the season, seen the job through. He chose not. So a decision was made. In football, people move on, things happen. So, he'd done incredibly well the season before. We'd made a good start. But there was just a couple of areas that, we had concerns about which weren't addressed. So as it stood, we were quite honest. Look, we won't be offering you a new contract at this moment in time. He decided that he didn't want to stay, and obviously the rest is history.
It's an attractive job, the Willstone one. Does it therefore show just how much faith you've got in Stuart Maynard and Matt Saunders to a point from within?
Yeah, look, I think the big thing for me, obviously, they know the club. They understand what the club's about, where we're at and what we need to achieve, and working within the constraints that we have at the club with the infrastructure and financially. So, when we looked at it, I had some amazing CVs and spoke to a number of different managers. But at the time, I just thought, with the restraints we've got, no manager was coming and giving a load of money to change things. You had to work with them players who could get the best out of them players, who knew them players. And for me, Stuart and Matty were the best position to do that. Stuart deserved an opportunity. He'd been incredibly loyal to the club. He got a lot of stick from outside sources when, he stayed on. But he deserved the opportunity. He knew the boys. I believe, he's got all the tools. He's still learning, and there's certain bits he'll no doubt improve quickly, but he deserved a fair chance. It wasn't where we were. We had to get through to the end of the season. So in the first instance, he was the best position, the board felt, and you know, the objective was just win as many games as you can, make sure we're competitive. He did his best with the resources he had. I don't believe anyone would have done, you know, come in and done better. His hands were tied behind his back to a certain degree. So we were happy with how he'd performed, as much as some fans probably weren't. It wasn't, as I said, it largely wasn't down to hitting the results. It was down to individual errors from the players, and the boys who go on the pitch, he set them up with the best intentions to, you know, get a performance and a result. So we decided, you know, before the end of the season that he was the guy. We needed to get some stability. We needed some continuity with the players. They needed to have confidence that the manager, who would be the manager. So we decided that Stu was probably the best positioned. He needs a fair chance. He wasn't given a fair chance last year because of the constraints. He needs to bring his own players in. He needs to do his proper pre-season. He needs to, you know, have time in pre-season, which is massive, to run through the tactical, to shape how we want to, you know, line up. So he's had that. So Stuart knows now. You know, he's been given a fair opportunity. The fans need to get behind him and the players, and hopefully they'll see that it was the right appointment. You know, at the time, Dean was the right appointment. We got that one right, and I truly believe that Stuart is the right appointment for Wealdstone, and I'll be proved right, hopefully.
But as we head into the new season, it's a results business, and Stuart and Matt need to get results.
They do. Look, that's what Football Manager judged on, aren't they? So, yeah, they're under no illusions. They know that it is a big ask. They need to win games. They need to pick up points on the road. We need to be competitive, and we need to, you know, between now and the end of the season, pick up as many points as possible so we're not pulled into a relegation fight, because that's the aim. We want to stay in this division. We want to build from here. You know, the long term, if we can stay in this division 3-4 years, look at going full time and move it on from there. So yeah, they're under no, you know, disillusions. They know what, if they lose 10 on the bounce, people are going to be calling for their heads. So, you know, they've been around for a long time. So they're well aware of what they need to do. And, you know, we've given them every opportunity we can, our resources, to do that. So, you know, I'm pretty confident that come the start of the season, we'll be ready and we'll be competitive this year. We'll be compact. We won't, you know, yes, we'll lose games, but we won't be getting dicked 6s and 5s and 7s like we did last year.
You're not just here to make up the numbers, very much a season of consolidation and try and kick on if you can?
Yeah, just want to keep improving. I can't have another season like last year. You know, it wasn't enjoyable for anyone. So yeah, we tried to recruit properly. And when we'll set up the boys this year, will be differently to how we have historically. So yeah, look, we're here to stay in this league. We're not here just for the journey. You know, we proved last year the amount of games where we done incredibly well. We got results. We went away from home and won. You know, we've proved we can do it with the additional quality we've brought in and the way the boys will be set up this year, and we'll have a bit more depth. We've got every opportunity of, Saturday's a pre-season, I know that, but we have quality. We proved last year we've got some quality. So it's just being more consistent, the individual being more compact. You know, we can't keep leaking goals the way we were last year. So, and look, there's massive things, you know, some of the sign, even Connor Stevens come back, it's like another signing. He's injured at the moment, but he's not a million miles away. But him coming back, it's like another signing. He's massive, you know, for the club.
You talked about going full-time, very much the ambition, and how do you get there?
We're in the sort of transitional period at the moment. So yeah, look, the type of players we've recruited, apart from one, give or take, they all want to be professional footballers, they all want to be full-time. So we're moving towards that. Some of the boys we had last year all had jobs, so that was part of our thought process. The ones that we didn't offer new deals where they were in their careers and, you know, lives, that they couldn't sort of move in that. So yeah, look, the aim potentially next year, if not the year after, as long as we sustain the National League status, we'd be looking to go down that model. So obviously this year is probably too early, and we need to sustain being in the league for 3 years before you can really look at that. But that's the aim. Yeah, look, you know, we want to be. Sutton have proved it. Look what they've done. You know, if you'd have said 2 years ago they'd be in the EFL, I don't think anyone believed you, but they've proved, you know, they weren't spending millions. they were set up, they're well organised, you know. You can draw some sort of similarities between the two clubs. So if we can just improve year on year, and, you know, eventually if we do want to, you know, make a real impression in this league, we'll have to move into full time, because the time the guys have with the players is minimal. So tactically, you know, you need to be on the training pitch with them 2-3 times a week, and we don't have that at the moment. So for us to be sustainable and move forward in this league, that's, you know, something we're going to have to look at.
We've touched on changes to the squad. Talk us through the changes to the ground. Is some ground improvements gone on over the summer?
Yeah, the pitch was relaid. So after sort of last game of the season, it was stripped up, put back down. So the pitch is looking incredibly good as always. We finished off the stand. Done some improvements to the clubhouse, inside and outside. What else have we done? It's a mixture of small improvements, some general sort of maintenance, upkeep to make it look a bit more desirable.
Just on the Vale, it's got wonderful appeal. It's one of the most cracking atmospheres in the non-league. But can it serve your kind of long-term ambitions, or has it got its limitations, do you think?
It definitely has its limitation. The ground was obviously originally set up for Ruislip Manor to have a couple of hundred people watch. You know, potentially this year you could have 4,000 people in that stadium. Just the infrastructure, parking, the outside facility, it definitely has its limitations. Someone asked me before what Wealdstone's biggest strength is, and I said it's its people, and they asked what the biggest weakness is. And for me, it's the ground and facilities.
Just how excited are you to have the Vale jump in again next season? Because it's a special place, isn't it? Particularly under the lights.
Yeah, look, last year, had we've had fans, it's an intimidating place. If you're coming as a away player, you know, an opposition player, and 2 meters away you've got someone screaming at you abuse, it's very intimidating. People kicking the cage, banging on it. It's not nice. The away change rooms aren't great. It will have an impact. Some people turn up and go, I'm not sure I'm up for this. So yeah, look, I think it can certainly at times add as a 12th man and work in, you know, in our favour. And, you know, it has done historically, and I think it will do some of the big clubs when they come down. Like, this is a bit of an eye-opener for them. So whilst the playing surface is exceptional, there are some limitations with the facilities. So yeah, I think it will certainly work enough, and the fans are amazing. You know, the noise they generate is unbelievable. So they'll certainly be key this year. And had we had them last year, you know, how many more points would we have got?
Just talked about what an intimidating place it is, but the club's got a lovely community feel too, hasn't it? Like, and how important are the sponsors, the partners, the fans, the community?
Oh, look, everyone associated with the club is, you know, incredibly important. You know, the fans are massive, just vocally what they do on a match day, their financial support they give throughout the year, the youth set up. You know, hopefully, you know, last year we've had 2 boys come through our academy, getting in the first team. The youth, you know, there's been players who've come through the youth and been in and around the first team historically. So, yeah, everyone has their part to play at the club. Fans, directors, you know, players, friends and family of the players. Everyone's got their role to play. So,
just touched on the academy there. How crucial is the academy to what you want to do to this club long term?
Yeah, it's massive. For a source of players, you know, we've proved it last year in our first year of setting it up. We've both Eli and Takane came through, both made first team appearances, both, you know, incredibly talented and got a huge, you know, potential of really playing at a high level. And, you know, bring them through, it makes other kids, there's a pathway. A lot of clubs, there's not a pathway. There is at Wealdstone, and if you're good enough, you'll be given an opportunity. So hopefully people will see that they've progressed, and it will give them the appetite to pick maybe Wealdstone over other academies, because there is a real opportunity and chance that you can get through, you know, the academy. And if you're good enough, we'll interact you with the first team.
And you've got such a wonderful catchment area, haven't you, in West London?
Oh, it's huge, yeah. It's a massive area. So, you know, there's lots of local football clubs, there's lots of colleges, there's lots of chimney pots, even just in Ruislip alone. So it's a great, you know, catchment area, and hopefully we can just keep growing it. And the bigger it grows, the more likely we're going to have some better players, and not just that, commercially it helps the club, the revenue that brings for every pupil we bring through the college scheme. And there's other clubs, Bournemouth have done fantastically well at it. So, if we can emulate anywhere near what they've done, then it'll make a massive difference to the club long term.
And just how hungry are you as chairman? You don't do things by halves here at GPF Lewis, and does your passion burn as bright as ever for this football club?
Yeah, look, whatever I do, I like to do things properly. So sometimes I find that hard at Wilson because there are some limitations financially, and you can't go buy the best player, and you can't do certain things, and the facilities you want to improve, you want to make it better. So I have to be realistic at times that I won't always be able to meet all the objectives I've got. But yeah, I want the club to be successful, and when one day it's inevitable I will step away. But when I step away, the club hopefully will be in a far better position than when I came into it. And if I can do that, then I've done my job.